Did you know that in 1950 you could buy a house for less than $10,000? That's right, the average home price was just $8,450. But that's not all. We're about to reveal even more shocking prices from 1950 that'll make your jaw drop. Ever wondered how much a gallon of gas or a loaf of bread cost back then? Stay tuned. Ready to take a stroll down memory lane and through the aisles of a 1950s supermarket? We're about to embark on a grocery shopping adventure that'll make your jaw drop faster than a fallen souffle. So grab your imaginary cart and let's see what $20 could buy you back in the day. Picture this. You're pushing a squeaky metal cart down the polished linoleum floors of a 1950s supermarket. The smell of freshly baked bread wafts through the air, and the shelves are stocked with colorful packaging that looks both familiar and strange. As you navigate the aisles, your eyes start to widen. Is that a typo on the price tag? Or are things really that cheap? Let's start with the basics. You reach for a loaf of bread, expecting it to cost, well, about what it costs now. But hold on to your hat. That fluffy white loaf is just 14 cents. Yes, you read that right. For less than the price of a gumball today, you could get a whole loaf of bread to make sandwiches for the week. Speaking of sandwiches, let's mosey on over to the deli counter. A pound of bologna, that'll set you back about 39 cents. Feeling fancy? How about some sliced ham for 55 cents a pound? With prices like these, you could make enough sandwiches to feed a small army. Now, let's crack into the dairy section. A dozen eggs catches your eye and you brace yourself for the price. But surprise! Those farm-fresh eggs are only 60 cents a dozen. That's right, folks. For about the price of a candy bar today, you could whip up a week's worth of omelets, sunny side-ups, and maybe even a cake or two. Feeling thirsty? A half gallon of milk is just 42 cents. Pour yourself a tall, cold glass to go with those cookies you're planning to bake. And speaking of baking, a 5-pound bag of sugar is only 43 cents. Looks like those homemade treats won't break the bank. As you continue your shopping spree, you can't help but notice how far your money seems to be stretching. A can of Campbell's tomato soup? Just a dime. A box of Kellogg's Corn Flakes? 25 cents. Even Coca-Cola, America's favorite fizzy drink, is only 5 cents a bottle. At these prices, you could stock up for a month and still have change jingling in your pocket. But wait, we haven't hit the mother lode yet. Let's swing by the butcher counter where the real savings await. Your eyes scan the neatly arranged cuts of meat, and you have to do a double take. Sirloin steak for 77 cents a pound, pork chops for 49 cents. Even a whole chicken is just 43 cents a pound. With prices like these, you could throw a backyard barbecue for the entire neighborhood without breaking a sweat. As you approach the checkout counter, a mix of excitement and anxiety bubbles up. Did you go overboard? Will your $20 cover all these groceries? The cashier starts ringing up your items, and you hold your breath. But as the total climbs, you realize something amazing. You're nowhere near your budget. When the final tally comes in, you're stunned. A week's worth of groceries, including meat, dairy, bread, and even some treats, comes to less than $20. In fact, you could probably stretch that $20 to cover 2 weeks of meals if you played your cards right. But before you start daydreaming about all the extra cash you'd have for fun in the 1950s, let's pump the brakes for a second. Sure, these prices seem incredibly low by today's standards. But remember, we're talking about 1950s dollars here. The average wage was a lot different back then, too. Think finding an affordable place to live is tough now? Well, let's hop in our time machine and see how it compares to 1950. You've got $100 burning a hole in your pocket, and you're on the hunt for a place to call home. Surely that's not enough for rent, right? Don't be so sure. We're about to challenge everything you thought you knew about housing costs in the fabulous 50s. As you stroll down a 1950s street, newspaper in hand, an ad catches your eye. Cozy one-bedroom apartments for rent, it proclaims. The price listed seems too good to be true. Is this a misprint? There's only one way to find out. You decide to check it out, half expecting to find a broom closet masquerading as an apartment. But as you step inside, you're pleasantly surprised. The space is modest but comfortable, with a small kitchen, a living area, and even a separate bedroom. It's nothing fancy, no air conditioning or in-unit laundry, but it's clean, functional, and, dare we say, charming in its simplicity. Now comes the moment of truth. You brace yourself as the landlord quotes the monthly rate, expecting a number that'll send you running. But wait a minute. Did you hear that right? You ask them to repeat it. Sure, you've misunderstood. But nope, your ears aren't playing tricks on you. The price sounds more like what you'd pay for a week's stay at a budget motel in 2023. But surely there's a catch, right? What about utilities? You ask, preparing for the other shoe to drop. But even with electricity, gas, and water factored in, the total is still shockingly low. We're talking about $20 a month for all your utilities. That's less than what many of us spend on a single takeout meal today. You're tempted to sign on the dotted line right then and there, but a nagging doubt holds you back. Is this place a unicorn? Did you just stumble upon the deal of the century? You decide to do a bit more digging. As it turns out, you didn't just get lucky. This was the norm in 1950. Believe it or not, the average cost of a one-bedroom apartment in a city like New York was about $75 a month. And if you ventured into smaller towns, you could find places for even less. But wait, it gets better. If you had a bit more cash saved up, you could even think about buying a house. The average cost of a new home in 1950 was about $8,450, and many were available for under $7,500. Imagine that, a whole house for less than the price of a used car today. Now, before you start planning your move to 1950, remember that wages were different back then too. But even so, the affordability of housing in the 1950s is pretty mind-blowing. Many families could comfortably afford their housing costs on a single income, something that's becoming increasingly rare in today's economy. And here's another fun fact. If you did decide to buy a house, you might only need a down payment of around $3,500. That's less than what many of us spend on a vacation today. So, what does all this mean for our little time travel experiment? Well, with housing and utilities only taking a small bite out of your $100 budget, you've got plenty left over for other expenses. In fact, you might even have enough to start saving for that dream home. Think you're ready to paint the town red with your 1950s budget? Hold on to your hat because you're in for a wild ride. It's Friday night, and you've got some cash burning a hole in your pocket. After a week of pinching pennies, you're itching for a night out. But wait, will your hard-earned dollars disappear faster than a chocolate malt at the soda fountain? As you stroll down Main Street, the bright neon lights of the local movie theater catch your eye. Your heart races with excitement, but a nagging worry creeps in. Will a ticket cost you an arm and a leg? You take a deep breath and approach the box office, ready to face the music. But what's this? Your eyes must be playing tricks on you. The ticket price is just 65 cents. That's right, for less than $1, you can lose yourself in the latest Hollywood blockbuster. With a spring in your step and a grin on your face, you grab your ticket and head inside. The smell of fresh popcorn fills the air as you settle into your seat, marveling at how much entertainment you're getting for such a small price. As the credits roll and you exit the theater, your stomach growls, reminding you that the night is still young. You spot a cozy diner across the street, its windows aglow with warm light. Hesitantly, you pick up a menu, bracing yourself for sticker shock. But once again, 1950 has a surprise in store for you. Your eyes scan the menu, and you can hardly believe what you're seeing. Are these prices for real? A juicy hamburger for just 12 cents? A creamy milkshake to wash it down for 29 cents? And to top it all off, a slice of homemade pie for a mere quarter? You pinch yourself to make sure you're not dreaming. Throwing caution to the wind, you decide to treat yourself to the works. As you savor each bite of your burger and sip your milkshake, you can't help but feel like you've stumbled upon a secret treasure trove of affordable delights. The cherry on top? That slice of pie, which tastes even sweeter knowing it barely made a dent in your wallet. As the night winds down, you tally up your spending. Movie ticket, dinner, dessert, the grand total comes to less than $2. You laugh out loud, realizing that your entire evening of entertainment costs less than a fancy coffee in 2023. It's a mind-boggling revelation that leaves you wondering just how much fun you could pack into a week with your remaining budget. But the night isn't over yet. With plenty of cash still jingling in your pocket, you overhear a group of locals chatting about a concert happening nearby. Your curiosity piqued. You ask about ticket prices, fully expecting to sit this one out. To your amazement, you learn that most concerts go for between $2 and $5. Even with your splurge at the diner, you could easily afford to cap off the night with some live music. As you weigh your options, you notice a bowling alley down the block. The sound of pins crashing draws you in, and you discover that a game costs just 50 cents. With so many affordable choices, your biggest challenge in 1950 isn't stretching your dollar, it's deciding how to spend it. For sports fans, the deals are just as sweet. Imagine catching a baseball game for under $3, cheering on your favorite team without breaking the bank. In 1950, a night out at the ballpark is an affordable luxury that doesn't require a second mortgage.